Hello there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jedi Knights, the Star Wars podcast for JoyClicks. I'm your moderator, Christian Buckley, joined by my Chewie, Mike Connors.
Yep, your partner in crime, co-pilot of the Millennium Falcon.
Yes.
That's me.
Yes. I would not be able to fly that hunk of junk without you.
Thank you. You wouldn't have made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Did I just call our show a hunk of junk?
I mean, you know, she's got it where it counts.
Fair. May the 4th be with you, Mike.
And with you too, my friend. May the 4th be with you. This is like, I feel like all my chakras are aligned. I feel like we're recording and like everything, the stars are aligned. I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me.
Yeah.
You know how I'm feeling. This is like the best day that we could ever be recording this podcast, but it's not going to come out until a few days later. So.
Yeah, honestly though, you know what? I can guarantee you there's not going to be any Star Wars news tomorrow.
Yeah, probably not for the next few days. That's probably true.
Yeah, you know what? So we got blessed because I remember when a while back when we did Mondays released Fridays, there were a few nights of like right after we recorded, and we recorded late in the day. It was like, oh, trailer for Mandalorian dropped finally. It's like, oh, great.
Yeah, no, that's happened to us like more times than I would ever think would have happened, because like we would record a podcast and then like really like 3 hours later,
Yeah, well,
something would happen.
Thankfully, like you said, the stars aligned. It's all working out because today we have a lot to talk about. We have Star Wars video game updates. We have the new director and writer combo of the next Star Wars film. Tons of new content on Disney Plus. The finale of the Clone Wars series finale.
Right. Series finale. And to think we just started watching it like this year.
Yeah, we have a lot of ground to cover. So
we do.
Again, worth noting, we're recording this Monday, May 4th, so if anything does happen, not completely up to date, but we have tons of news to discuss. First off, I think the simplest thing is the thing with the least amount of information, and that is we have more LEGO Star Wars news, because last week you and I had a discussion about our history with the LEGO Star Wars video games, and we were sharing excitement for the Skywalker Saga release, which is set to come out this year.
Yeah, we dedicated a lot of the episode last week to LEGO Star Wars, so...
Yeah, and last week when we did reach the point of the new game, we were like, oh, don't know much about it. We have like a screenshot. We know general direction of the game design, and that not much has changed today.
It's true, yeah. I mean, I think it all really came from like an interview with some like random magazine, right?
I think so, yeah.
I didn't read that at all, but I know like just some art was released and stuff.
Yeah, we do have some screenshots. They don't really convey a good sense of like what makes this LEGO game different, but we do know that it's still set to be coming out this year. It's going to be featured in Jeff Keighley's Summer of Gaming event, which spans the entirety of the summer. So we're probably going to get gameplay at some point from the end of this month to September. But
you think this is like a later in the year kind of release?
I could see this be like an October thing, like a holiday game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense, because I can't imagine that there's another Star Wars game that like is a big deal coming out this year. So I think this probably fills that void, you know?
You're probably right, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting, though, Matt Piscatella with the NPD group, who, if you're interested in video game sales, I highly recommend following him on Twitter. He always tweets out statistics like best-selling things for each month by hardware, by dollar sales. It's fascinating. On special occasions, he tweets out like historic things for franchises, and he tweeted out the best-selling Star Wars video games, top 5. And funny enough, 3rd place was a LEGO game, so they sell well.
Which one was it? Was it the Complete Saga? Probably.
I can double check for you. I do believe it was the Complete Saga. Do you have a guess what number 1 and 2 were, though?
For Star Wars games?
Yes.
What, like up until what point again? Sorry.
Until yesterday.
Oh, probably Fallen Order is up there. And then the original Battlefront, maybe.
Definitely top 5 for Fallen Order. The top 5 highest grossing Star Wars video games are number 5, The Force Unleashed. Number 4,
Okay.
Jedi Fallen Order.
All right.
Number 3, Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga.
Okay.
Number 2, Battlefront 2 2017.
Interesting.
And number 1, Battlefront 2015.
Very interesting.
Right?
When I said Battlefront 2, I was thinking of 2000, what, like
2005,
right?
yeah.
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 That's what I was thinking about. That's fascinating.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's tracking just United States sales, but since 1995. So
Very interesting. That covers a lot of games.
it does, yeah. There's a lot of Star Wars games that came out in those that time.
Right.
And speaking of Star Wars games, we do have some more information on that front. What do you want to do first, Mike? You want to talk about a new release? Do you want to talk about a game we're very fond of that many people might not be, or Fallen Order?
Those are the 3 options.
Yeah, for video games.
Let's do a new release first.
Okay, this one has me very excited.
Okay.
If you're familiar with virtual reality, you remember that I believe it was Oculus, when they released one of their more affordable headsets, they were like, hey, we have a brand new exclusive. ILM is developing it. It's not a video game, but it's not a movie. It's like a series, or is the way they were pitching it. It's called Vader Immortal.
Right. This came out for Oculus, right?
Yes. So Vader Immortal was very well received, as far as I'm aware, from the reports I've heard. But I didn't look.
It just
into
finished.
Yeah, really? How many episodes?
I think it just finished. I'm not really completely sure on that, actually.
Well, yeah, it's very interesting. From what I have heard of Vader Immortal, it brings some interesting things into the lore. Like there's this character called like the Black Bishop that people thought was gonna be Snoke eventually, but obviously that's not the case. But it still seems like it's doing some interesting things with Vader. But if you wanted to play it, you would have had to have an Oculus, which is incredibly expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Today, though, it was announced that the game in its entirety is going to be releasing on PlayStation VR this summer.
Do you have one of those?
I do have a PlayStation VR.
So you're going to be playing this Vader Immortal. Are you hyped?
I'm stoked, dude. I got my PSVR in 2018 for Tetris Effect, which was this like super trippy version of Tetris. But experimented with some of the other offerings. I didn't want to buy the PlayStation like Wiimotes. They're called Move Wands, but like they were made for the PS3. They were like retrofitted to work with VR, and I was like, I don't need those.
Yeah.
And there's some games that you need them, right? Like, I'm a big Marvel guy. There's an Iron Man VR game, which is supposed to be really cool, coming out this year. But I was still like, you know what? I don't want to buy the sticks. I'm going to wait for the VR 2, and then I'll try it. I'm buying the sticks.
So you're going all in on it, then?
Oh, yeah. I have to.
Yeah. Well, what other games have you tried?
So, I've tried Astrobot, which is very fun. I haven't tried Resident Evil 7 yet. I own it, but I'm terrified of it, so I haven't cracked it open yet.
Resident Evil 7, huh?
Yeah, they did a
I didn't know
VR
you can play that on VR.
Only PSVR.
That's insane.
But I think it's awesome because I think VR is very cool. PlayStation VR sold, I think, 4 million units, I think, which is pretty good, all things considered. So because it's coming to that platform, it's going to give millions of more Star Wars fans, myself included, the opportunity to fight Darth Vader in VR.
Yeah, I heard that story's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty sick. And when does that come out? Does it have like a release date attached to that? Or...
No set date yet. It just says this summer.
All right. Well, I believe it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I cannot wait for that.
That's awesome.
If you're a little antsy though, and you can't wait that long, maybe you don't have VR, maybe you're just story. I like story in games. I like third-person story games. Star Wars still has you covered, Mike.
What are you getting at, Christian?
So today, this is the least. I did not see this coming at all. This surprised me the most today, I think.
I'm still on the edge of my seat, literally.
So, EA and Respawn decided to
Oh,
bless us with a free content update for Fallen Order.
it vastly expands the base game.
I mean, yeah, and to an extent, they added a new mode. They added some new skin. Well, not new skins, but like, for BD1, there's new skins. For Cal, there's a new option to play the game through with him.
Oh,
I made a video running through surface level stuff, which is on the channel now. If you want to check that out, just to see it in practice. But
I mean, those new modes and everything, that's a lot of time you can sink into that.
oh yeah,
Like that's a pretty huge expansion.
yeah. So, are you familiar at all with what it is?
Like very vaguely. I know like the modes are like pretty significant though.
Yeah, so there's two significant modes that were added. They're both very similar to one another, though. There's a challenge mode where the game supplies you, I believe, 10 different maps with basically waves of enemies. Excuse me. Waves of enemies where you have to just survive as Cal, go through each wave. There are certain modifiers of like complete it without getting any hits on you, complete it without using stims, stuff like that. And if you're able to meet those qualifiers, you'll get some tokens, and you can use those tokens to unlock new skins for BD1. Each map has their own unique set of those. Some of them have different numbers of waves. The final one listed is very cool. It's called Shadowlands, I think, and it is you versus the Sisters of the Inquisitors. So I believe it would just be the 2nd and 9th.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's some cool stuff going on there. Very neat maps. There's the Force meditation map. Remember where you fight Jar Tapal?
Mm-hmm.
There's a 10-round survival there that I tried. I made like 5 rounds in. No word.
Do you fight with Charo?
No. So you get no assistance. Just if you have the BD1 perk to override droids, you can still do that.
Okay.
But I'm assuming the final boss of that stage is Jar Tapal.
Probably. Yeah.
And I can't speak to the other ones yet. I only tried Kashyyyk meditation and the Jedi Temple, but yeah, it adds a lot of replay value. I got my ass beat, so it's definitely going to take some adjustment to get back into that. So I'm very happy about that.
I mean, how do you feel overall about having something like new in that game to go to now?
It's very interesting because I didn't see it coming at all. Like,
yeah, I didn't see this coming either.
I would have assumed based on the way they spoke of Fallen Order that like the next time we see Cal or anything new for this like area of Star Wars, it's a sequel. And they're not adding story content here, but it is still, like you said, it's significant, all things considered. So do you think that this is indicative of maybe the sequel being farther off than we thought? Do you think this was just a fun treat that they were working on?
Honestly, it doesn't. I don't know. It seems like this had a lot of effort put behind it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that this like necessarily means that it pushes like the sequel at all. In my opinion, I think they probably had this planned out, and they were probably working on it before the game was even released. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I don't think that delays the upcoming game at all, and if it does, honestly, whatever. Like I'd rather that game be good than rushed.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mean delayed. More of just like they know it's down the line. You know, like maybe they plan to do this content update because they were like, hey, earliest it's looking is maybe 2022. So maybe this will keep them busy. Maybe it'll give them incentive to replay the game. Because aside from the challenge maps, we do have a arena grid mode where you can basically choose the maps that are provided in the arena mode for challenges and make your own enemy placements, and you have a certain number of points you can allocate for what you put in the map. and
That's pretty cool.
yeah, and each character is worth their own thing. So I think like an ATST is 30 points. Jaro Tapal is like 20. In the video, I tried.
Why is an ATST ranked above Jaro DePaul?
I think it might
My
be
dad.
I think it's because of just like memory. Maybe it's like a bigger asset.
Yeah.
But I mean, the power ranking of an ATST versus a Jedi.
Yeah, I don't think that matches up.
No.
But whatever.
Honestly, I'd love it if a game could find a way to contextualize the like memory resource thing to a power level. That would be so funny.
That would be pretty funny.
It's like, oh, you put Darth Vader in, you can't do anything else.
Can you put Darth Vader in?
Unfortunately, no. To test out just a little more of the combat, I spawned Inquisitor Cal and Terran Malicos, and that was a mistake.
Oh, okay. You could spawn Terran Malicos.
Yeah, I died fast.
So how many of the bosses can you spawn?
So they give you the options of, I believe, all the bosses with the exception of Vader. So I think you can all, like, I don't know how many at once. Like I didn't sit down to do that math of like the point values, but so the Kier Drak might not be there just based on memory. Like the giant bat.
Oh yeah, well I mean that's a lot.
Yeah, but that's like a fun
the
addition.
the Dothamir bat. Are you talking about?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a fun addition. It's definitely got me to reinstall the game and mess around with it, and I do want to try to go through those combat challenges. But what do you think? Do you think it's gonna play you back?
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna certainly play it. But they're probably gonna have to. Do you think they're gonna update it at all? Like, from now until like they release another game?
I don't know, because honestly, I could have seen them charge for this, even if it was like $10.
That'd be very EA of them.
Yeah, so like I'm kind of surprised it was free. So,
but I mean, EA, like, let's be honest, like they've been not shy to release things for free.
Oh no, yeah, Apex dropped for free. There's microtransactions in it, but
like
it was free.
all of the Battlefront expansions free.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
For sure. And I think that this very much feels like okay, here's a little cherry on top, see you in a few years. That's the way I read it. Fun little note though, I remember when we talked about we did the episode dedicated to Fallen Order, and we were discussing red lightsabers and the likelihood. It's fun because if you do not New Game Plus, because you don't get to carry over your abilities, they call it like New Journey Plus or something like that.
Yeah.
If you do that, from the get-go, you can select to play as Inquisitor Cal. So I played...
But can you toggle in and out of them, like, at any time?
Yeah. So...
That's so funny.
It's in the customization menu, like if you pause where you change your ponchos and stuff, there's a separate menu now that lets you swap between normal Cal and Empire Inquisitor. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, so I played the entire beginning of the game. As soon as I could do it, I switched to it. So I was introduced to Cal, listening to the music with the Empire stuff on him, and played all the way to the second sister fight. So that was fun.
Nice. Red
lightsaber and all.
Very cool.
But you know what?
Is it double bladed?
I didn't play that far, but I'm assuming yes.
No, I see.
You know what, Mike?
What?
You know how we thought, because they told us this, we would never see a red lightsaber in Fallen Order?
I don't remember anybody ever saying that.
Well, they said, like, this is a Jedi story, so no red lightsabers.
Oh, like, you wouldn't be able to wield a red light. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now they're lying.
Yes. There's another lightsaber color that has graced another medium that I did not see coming at all.
Oh, really?
Star Wars Battlefront 2 got its final content update.
This is the big one. This is the big one right here.
We're fans of this game on this show.
Yeah.
Free content update again, might I add.
Oh, it's all been free.
Yes. So
except for one bit of it.
Yeah, one tiny little thing. So this is the final update of the game. they added, first off, Supremacy to the Age of the Rebellion. So you can now do Supremacy on Death Star 2, Tatooine, Hoth, which is very exciting.
That's very cool.
As well as the map that has now been brought into the game, which is Scarif.
Nice.
Did you play Scarif at all in Battlefront 1?
I don't believe so.
I didn't either, because that's when they were still charging for it, and by the time it came out, all my friends stopped playing.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I played that.
No, yeah, but I was talking to my friend Kevin, who co-hosts Gamescast with me, because he was playing it a little earlier today, and I was like, hey, how is it? Because I know you played it in Battlefront 1, I haven't had a chance to dive in yet, and he said it felt very similar, and he wouldn't be surprised if it was the same layout, but he still enjoyed it with just the coat of paint of Battlefront 2 and its systems over it.
Honestly, I find convincing enough.
Yeah.
like honestly, just the amount of updates that EA has given this game is ridiculous, and like we're lucky to have all of it for free. That like if it's kind of just a reskin of like an old map, that doesn't bother me as much. Like
yeah, I don't mind. I'll happily play that. I haven't got a chance to investigate if Capital Supremacy is a mode for Scarif, because I feel like that makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's on Hoth. I don't know. Haven't had a chance to play it yet. But in addition to adding Supremacy to the Age of Rebellion, bringing Scarif back, we got some new skins.
Oh, yeah.
So tying back to the transition, Rey with the yellow lightsaber is in the game now.
That's big time.
Absolutely. It's funny, though, because when you go to... You know how you can change the appearances of each character and it has like an adjective for them?
Yeah.
Of the different skins. So it's like Rey, this, Last Jedi, or whatever they called it. And then the bottom one it said Rey Skywalker. And then seeing it written down and just so much larger than all the other ones that just said Rey, I was like, oh, that's strange. Just should we have just copy pasted Rey Skywalker for the rest of them just to make it look nice? Like, it's not even a thing about the name or that choice. It's just it looks weird in a menu.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I did see that screenshot. I haven't played it yet. I was gonna play it tonight actually because, just haven't had the time. Haven't gotten around to it. But not only did we get Rey with the yellow lightsaber, which is awesome, we also got. You want to say it?
You go for it, man.
Darth Maul.
Clone Wars Maul.
But yeah, Clone Wars Darth Maul.
Very, very cool addition. It's awesome to see that they did this. It's cool to see Darth Maul get a little more of his... Honestly, where most of his character lies is that show. So like, it's nice to see that they give that interpretation some love.
Yeah, I would main that skin if I ever played Darth Maul.
Yeah, I don't play Maul. Like, my go-to for the Age of Republic villain is usually Grievous, but yeah, that Maul skin is tempting.
Yeah, that is.
They also added a few other, I believe they call them fan favorite looks, which is interesting. They added Kylo Ren from, I guess, 9. Like, he has the cracked helmet that's put together again, but he has a hood up.
Oh.
So
Kylo Ren from 9 with the hood up.
Basically. Palpatine got a new skin. He got his red silky robes from when he gets Force dye added up.
I hate that.
Who else? I believe that was it for the major skin additions, but yeah, it's cool to see Battlefront going out on a high note.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm thinking about it. I always thought Rey's yellow lightsaber was double-bladed. Or maybe that was just a hope. That was me just thinking that she was like Bastila.
Yeah, honestly, maybe it is. Because, like, I was talking to one of my friends about this. The first time we really see Rey use the lightsaber is going to be in this video game. So, maybe it is double-bladed in canon, but, like, it would be so difficult to program Rey with that skin option as a separate entire thing of, like, oh, so now she has double-bladed moves, like Maul style.
Yeah, she couldn't just like look like Maul.
Yeah, that would be so much more work than just doing like, oh, let's give her the outfit and give her the yellow. So maybe it's still up in the air, but
that's a fair point.
You haven't slowed down playing Battlefront. You still pop in once in a while.
Oh yeah, I pop in every so often. I like that game.
Me too. So
I always like that game.
Yeah. Funny enough, it's been on sale the past few days. By the time this episode's out, it's not on sale anymore. But
actually, I don't have it on PC, so I bought it on sale.
Very nice.
It's for my PC, so it was like $6. Good. Yeah.
It's been on sale. I convinced like 5 of my friends to get it, so they're seeing the light. It feels good.
Jack got it.
Jack did get it. Yeah, I saw. Feels very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels good to be a Star Wars video game fan.
Definitely, for sure. Big things coming.
Absolutely.
It's also a very good time to be a Star Wars film fan.
It is. Because we have news. Did you see this coming at all?
Absolutely not.
We have news on who the director-writer combo is for the next Star Wars feature film. We've discussed this on the show when it was a rumor, was shot down. He quote tweeted the announcement on Twitter and said, "Psych."
Yeah.
Today.
No, you gotta before you say the name, one word to describe how you felt when you heard this.
Elated.
I'd say surprised.
Taika Waititi is going to be the director of the next Star Wars feature film. He's going to be writing it alongside Krysty Wilson-Cairns, who wrote 1917.
That's pretty cool.
That's very cool. That's a good combo. After seeing the end of Mando, I have so much faith. Where are you at with this? Because I feel like we had this conversation before of like Taika could be too Marvel, but then we saw what he did with Mando. So like, where's your head at with it all?
I mean, I totally like and enjoy like what he did with The Mandalorian. So I also really enjoyed 1917, and honestly, I'm not super familiar with this writer's work. What's her name?
Krysty Wilson-Cairns.
Krysty Wilson-Cairns. I don't know if I just got the name right, but
yeah,
like, I mean, I enjoy 1917 a lot and trust Taika Waititi with the source material. So I'm excited to see, what comes of it. I'm curious to see like what time period he's going to be, making a film in. So
yeah, I have to wonder, because if they fill any of the gap between 6 and 7, then I feel like you could run into people who are upset of like, hey, I thought we were going to move away from the Skywalker era, but there's just so much untapped potential in those like 30 years there still.
Very true.
That I feel like it's an easy place to just assume it would be,
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if they're going to. I thought they were saying that they weren't going to do any, new films in this time period, though.
Yeah, that's what makes me a little curious, because I can't really see this being High Republic after last week and talking about just continually how they're establishing High Republic as a publishing effort.
Right.
So I guess it comes back to what we were talking about last week with the new Disney Plus series. Could it potentially be Old Republic? Could it be far future? We really don't know. And it really, aside from the writing and directing announcements, there's no other news here.
That's true. I mean, we just know who's doing it. There's no other information. We're completely blind.
Yeah. Do you think, I feel like there's one little nugget here. Do you think, based on the track record of what kind of film 1917 is and Taika's history, do you think this is going to be like a Jedi film? Do you think it's going to be an underworld thing? A military Band of Brothers-esque thing? Where's your head at there?
I think it's going to be... I'm not sure it's going to be like primarily a Jedi thing. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be more of like an underworld thing, but I don't know.
My head went to underworld as well. I think it's very easy to feel like we could just do so many underworld stories right now after Mandalorian, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think they'd oversaturate that, but just hearing 1917 being this bombastic war film, Taika having this humor that I feel like works with like smugglers or Solo-esque characters, I feel like there's potential there.
I feel like he should have like he should have for real like directed Solo.
Yeah, that would have been great.
I feel like that would have been a really great mix.
Do you think for how unique his style is that we might eventually run into similar issues that happened with Lord and Miller on Solo, since you bring it up?
I don't think so, because I think they've worked with him before. They wouldn't have hired him for this project if they weren't confident in their ability to work with him.
I agree, and I do think that Disney at large can probably vouch for him since he's done Thor Ragnarok and they bring him back for another Thor, so
that was incredibly successful. So
yes.
like they trust him to an extent, I guess.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be too worried about him having to tone it down, because I do think in Mando it was a good balance, personally.
He'll have to tone it down for Star Wars, I think.
Yeah, and I think he did with the finale.
Yeah, and I mean, like, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I'm excited to see what he does with it. We have no idea what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be great.
Absolutely. Is it going to be the highest, the most universally praised Star Wars movie of the last 10 years?
Yeah, he's gonna outdo George Lucas himself.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, before we dive into the main point of discussion for today, it is worth shouting out that The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9, is now available on Disney+. And speaking of...
Oh, you know what we missed?
What?
That there was a TV show announced today too.
Oh, there was?
Yeah, it was kind of just like the same, but it's going to just be like the Disney Plus TV show at some point.
It's the same story that Variety was reporting on last week.
Oh, is it?
It's official now.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
yes, the writer, I believe, of Russian Doll on Netflix is going to be writing a new Disney Plus series. The official word, there's not much to go on there. We discussed last week, Variety's sources said it was like female-centric. And that's really all there is there right now.
Well, I mean, I think it's good to shout that out.
Absolutely, yeah. I completely slipped that. I thought it was already announced after last week.
No, it's all right.
But yeah, speaking of Plus, Rise of Skywalker is now available, and the new, I guess, Star Wars series, it's not branded as that, but it's called Disney Gallery. A documentary series, 8 parts, about the production of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, it's a Star Wars documentary.
Yeah.
I watched the first part of it today. It's pretty good.
Nice. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but I'm excited to.
Yeah, it's a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically done with like some of the directors sitting around a table with like Jon Favreau, and they just like go around the table and talk about their time working on set.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first episode. It's pretty cool.
Does it focus on like the series as a whole out the gate, or is it specifically about episode 1?
No, it's just the series as a whole. Like it's
Awesome.
each director like talking about their own like episodes and stuff. Like Dave Filoni and Taika and Bryce Dallas Howard and Rick Famuyiwa and stuff. And
Very nice.
Deborah Chow as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to check it out. I'm really interested in how the show was produced.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, with that, we've covered the May the 4th news.
We have.
As it exists right now at 5:46 p.m. on Monday.
Right. So don't blame us. Something else happens.
Now it's time to talk about the final 2 episodes of the acclaimed Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
The acclaimed.
So starting out, Shattered. I was on the edge of my seat this entire episode, waiting.
Yeah, for real, man. I watched some people talk about this episode, and they bring up a good point. The beginning kind of feels very like Blade Runner-y. You've seen Blade Runner, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's very
like the music and stuff, and the pacing of it all is very like slow and like deliberate and stuff.
It's very quiet because they all know like
Yeah.
They know that we know what's about to happen. So like just the way they played it, I totally agree. It was very minimalist and it worked very well. And I think they tricked me a couple times. Like I thought there was a point where when after Ahsoka said bye to Bo-Katan and she was going to talk to the council briefing, I thought like, oh no, while she's in that meeting, it's going to go down.
Right.
Doesn't, but
no.
It
takes a while. It takes a while.
Yeah, and that was just so brutal because like I knew it was coming.
Yeah, I know. It's so eerie. It's so eerie though. Like the beginning.
Yeah, it's
the first like 10 minutes of this episode. It's like so. It's like a funeral procession.
Almost, yeah, and just like the number of times they focus on Maul and just his eyes in the box, just like because he knows what's coming.
Like the Hannibal Lecter freaking thing.
Absolutely, yeah. That was intense. The build-up in this episode was out the gate 10 out of 10, cranked up to 11 as we went on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this episode picks up almost directly where we leave off in episode 2, or of this arc. Not as direct as the pickup from 1 to 2, but we see the aftermath of the conclusion of Ahsoka's fight with Maul. He's captured. And from there it just really goes. It's less on the nose with drawing comparisons to 3, I think.
Yeah, it does draw a huge comparison to 3 because Ahsoka walks in on like Mace and Yoda and I think that's Ayla Secura and
Ki-Adi-Mundi's there as well.
Ki-Adi-Mundi's there, and that scene is in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, so that
it cuts like right after Yoda says something, but in this, like Yoda says it and then like Ahsoka walks in.
Yeah, so that kind of felt more natural to me than last week when it was Obi-Wan being like, okay, so this is what's happening, you know?
Yeah, right.
And it might just be because, like you said, it is much more closely knit with 3, you know? Like, it's not filling in gaps, it's like providing additional context. You know?
Yeah, it has no... Well, because 3 really has no gaps to fill.
Yeah.
It's just Yeah, you're right. It's just giving more... It's just adding more fat around 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of... I want to shout this out before we keep going. I forget who it is on Reddit. It's not done yet, but somebody is cutting together the episodes of this arc with Revenge of the Sith to make one like 4-hour... The original like Lucas 4-hour vision for Revenge of the Sith.
Oh my god!
So keep your eyes out on that before it gets taken down, because that's gonna be something.
That makes me
yeah. So yeah, I guess general thoughts leading up to the Order 66 moment. How you feel about this episode?
Just like it's very slow and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just like builds the tension, and I think I really admire that how this episode is able to do that.
Yeah, I think because of the last 2 episodes, they reached a point where that works, and it's. How do you feel, I guess, in comparison to one of the slower episodes of Mandalorian, where I remember sometimes it was a little bit conflicting of like, it's cool, but like we have places to be, where here it's like we got 2 episodes left and they're taking their time here. So you feel it's earned?
I felt like it was earned because I guess like I knew what the episode was going to be about.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, they're just building up to it, you know? Mm-hmm. So it was fine to me.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's different.
Different from Mando doing that?
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels more allowed.
Yeah. So, the moment. How do you feel? Walk me through how you felt seeing Ahsoka and Rex on the bridge, and then the moments that followed.
Well, the whole scene of them going into hyperspace is like beautiful.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's like very nice. And what Ahsoka says to Rex, like right before, they have that very like deep conversation about what it means to be a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Given the context of what happens like 30 seconds later.
Yeah.
So, like when I saw that, I was like, something bad's about to happen, like imminently. And it does, because Rex goes to the briefing and gets briefed about Order 66.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's very interesting also to see Ahsoka react to everything that's happening, similarly to how Yoda does when he like drops his cane and grabs his head in 3.
Yeah, because good thing that they used the actual Hayden Christensen audio for that.
Yeah, that caught me off guard.
It caught me off guard, but it kind of worked in a way.
Yeah, I think it did. I do think towards the end of it, they might have mixed it a little bit.
There was a little bit of Matt later. Yeah.
Because I definitely was like, it sounds like Hayden, and then I was like, oh, it came back around. Like it might have just been intentionally that way, but yeah, seeing that, making that choice, I think you're totally right. It definitely works to make it all feel cohesive.
Seems like Maul heard it too.
Yeah, I don't know if he heard it as much as he sensed the disturbance in the Force of all the death.
True, he does say that. He's like, didn't you feel it, all the death and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, because when it was all going down, I was like, I really want to see how Maul's going to read this, because he's tapped in, so, like,
yeah,
what's his impression?
True.
You know? And yeah,
anyways,
the conversation that you brought up about Ahsoka and Rex talking about what it means to be a soldier, I thought was very interesting as well, because I kind of thought that was the direction they were going to go to make sure Ahsoka was cool. Because bringing up the fact that moments before Order 66 happens, she's not a Jedi anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was going to play into it somehow, and funny enough, in the next episode, it kind of plays into it.
Sort of. Doesn't really work.
Yeah. But just that moment, seeing Order 66 after all this time, and seeing it through Rex's perspective, and him having to deal with that was rough. That was rough.
Yeah. So, yeah. Walk me through the Order 66 moment for you.
Okay, so I'm assuming they used the Ian McDiarmid Order 66 line because it sounded like it.
Yeah, it did.
Just the horror on Rex's face when the door opens and she walks in, and then he turns around, and just seeing him like breaking down, shaking, the tear going down his face. I was like, oh my god, Filoni.
Yeah, he drops the helmet and stuff.
Yeah. That was intense.
Yeah,
I think that is one of the highest moments of drama on this show.
In Star Wars, I think.
Yeah, it's up there. I think it hits harder than some of the Episode 3 Order 66 stuff, honestly.
It really is pretty good, man. It's peak Star Wars.
Like, do you laugh at the younglings?
Yeah, I think it's silly.
Okay, because
I think it conveys a point, though.
It does. I just don't think it lands the way they want it to.
No.
So, I guess that is the point of comparison, seeing that avenue of Order 66, and then seeing Rex, who doesn't want to do this. You can tell that he's like holding back intentionally, and I thought it was very interesting that he was able to even get out the fact that Fives knew.
Right. That was pretty smart.
Yeah, paying off for season 6, dude.
But honestly, did you expect him to?
What, say that?
No,
Fives?
to turn on Ahsoka.
I didn't know. See, because I get they had the inhibitor chip, right? But I did think there was going to be a loophole with the fact that Ahsoka left.
See, in Rebels, he says that he didn't betray his Jedi.
Well, I mean, I guess he technically didn't, you know?
Like, he took a couple shots at her. I know. But I mean, he says that, and so I guess I was expecting that meant that he, like, for some reason broke out of the trance of the inhibitor chip, you know?
Yeah, I definitely had theories in my head of, like, how it was going to shake down, and none of them involved her surgically removing the chip from his head.
No.
What do you think of that?
I mean, we have to talk about the lead up to that, the fact that we got R7 back
in
the Clone Wars.
Cool. Yeah.
That's like her old droid from like the first season.
Mm-hmm.
and that other cast of cute little droids. I think it's just funny that like in this an epic like last final arc of the Clone Wars, we still have like a droid adventure.
Yeah, that's
which
fun.
is pretty fun and just like good for them, you know, because that's like partially what the Clone Wars is, you know.
Yeah, it's very Star Wars, you know, because like ever since 4 has always been like there's droids that are key components to what's going on here. So it was nice to see them like pay homage that way.
Yeah, I know like the Clone Wars is like very notorious for having like arcs about droids for no
R2 come
reason.
home.
Yeah, like you know,
Yeah.
just like those really like dumb. But so it's funny to see it that it had its own space in this last arc. But yeah, I thought it was interesting how like they had to basically capture Rex and like bring him to the medical bay. And
Mm-hmm. I loved also that to get to that point, she went to Maul. That was just
right,
a very like I'm glad she did it. You know, like I saw it coming to an extent. We even speculated about like if they'd maybe team up the week before, but
I'd say they did in a way that only benefits Ahsoka.
yeah, I agree. He didn't get his saber, you know.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, still seeing him like wreck shop, destroy the hyperdrive. That was crazy.
I mean that was the next episode, but
Oh, that they blend together, I think,
yeah, they do. All four of them do, really.
for sure. Is there anything else you want to say about Shattered before we dive into the finale?
Um, I don't know. I just like how the whole inhibitor chip thing came back,
Yeah,
and the Darth Maul scene in the hallway was very reminiscent of Rogue One.
yeah, yes, yeah. I picked up on that too. Like just seeing him unleashed in a way where he can't rely on the weapon. I always like when they touch on that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And then the finale. General thoughts before we get into specifics.
Okay.
What do you think of the finale?
I think it's one of the weaker of all four of them, to be honest.
I don't think you're wrong. I feel like it's very much an A to B episode. You know, like I feel like these last two episodes were just meant to be one thing, even more than the 4 combined are meant to be. You know?
Yeah, I would probably agree with you with that.
Because
it's kind of all feels like it should just be taken as one.
Yeah, like 20 seconds ago, I just thought Maul getting his moment was in the episode before. Like they just blend so well, where it is very much you pick up similar to episodes 1 and 2 of this arc. You pick up right at the end, and then it's just the resolution the entire episode.
Right.
So I think
we didn't get much resolution in this.
No, because it's very much just a point A to B escape and then a little epilogue.
Yeah.
And I think in tandem with the episode prior, incredible finale.
Oh yeah, I mean, just incredible. Yeah, all around.
Like as a standalone episode, I get it. You know, like it's like yeah, we got away.
I think they really need to be all taken as one. I think it's hard to say like, oh, episode 4 was not good, you know, because like it's just like not taking in context of the rest of it.
No, I agree, and I would love if at one point we got a theatrical release of all 4.
They should.
That would be very nice.
It's like Star Wars Episode 3.5.
Pretty much, yeah. I think it's essential at this point to the whole story, and we sort of get to see a culmination of not just this arc, but what we've seen through the series with the 2 original characters from it.
Mm-hmm.
And in that perspective, I really enjoy it, and seeing Ahsoka and Rex with their backs against the wall for basically the entire episode, because we pick up of them trying to escape in the bridge, right? And then they basically get away 12 minutes later, and then we start wrapping up.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. They just basically escape, like you said. And they do that in Star Wars Clone Wars fashion.
Yes, absolutely. running on the outsides of ships, skydiving.
Yeah. It's nothing really we've never seen before. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Maul blowing up the hyperdrive is cool.
Yeah, like that was one of my favorite parts, honestly, just seeing
The
him.
the visuals of it all are beautiful.
Oh yeah, it looks stunning. I saw side by side again of like when Ahsoka and Rex were introduced, and then at them on the bridge, and it was
Right.
like, man, leaps and bounds in the
Yeah.
term of art direction. Uh, we also get Ahsoka pulling a Rey, except she doesn't blow up the ship.
Wait, what do you mean?
Maul's escaping off the deck, and she grabs the ship out of the air, trying to hold it.
True. That was pretty cool. Do you think she let go of it on purpose?
Yeah, that's how it seemed like pretty deliberate that she let go of like, I'm just wasting time. We need to find a plan B.
Yeah.
Uh, do you have anything stand out to say about this episode other than the last 4 minutes right now?
Nothing really like entirely standoutish to say about this episode. Honestly, like it was just an interest. I was genuinely interested to see how they're gonna write themselves out of that predicament, because it seemed like a pretty serious predicament that they were in.
Yeah.
And like I said, they escaped in classic Star Wars fashion. We knew Maul was gonna escape that. And yeah, other than the last 4 minutes, I have nothing much to say about it.
Yeah, it was nice I feel like a lot of the emotional weight for me, just like based on my memory of 2 a.m. when I watched this,
True.
fell on Rex and him dealing with the fact that he was ready to kill his brothers.
Yeah. Interesting how Ahsoka was not.
Yeah, and I really liked that back and forth because it kind of felt very what the Jedi should be, you know, of like Ahsoka saying like, no, this is the morally right thing. I could have killed you, but it's not you. It's something else. It's a force at play that we can't control.
Right.
And
it's not their fault, essentially.
Yeah, and seeing Rex sort of progress in his humanity in that way, of like recognizing that with her beyond just being a droid, I felt like was a really nice full circle arc of the entire clone subplots of the show.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it was a nice little pinpoint on what the show was supposed to be about, I thought.
It was very well done all around.
Yeah. And of course, Ahsoka carrying this entire arc, I'm glad, you know, like it's very rewarding, I think, after all the time we spent watching the show, seeing her story and her role in this universe reach like it's not final chapter, but like it feels like this is where it starts.
It got the payoff it deserves.
Yeah. So the ending. Did you see it coming?
I got spoiled.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, I got spoiled. I saw yesterday on YouTube like a thumbnail of like apparently it came out on like Disney Plus like New Zealand or something. And like some guy like put it on YouTube. He was like, Darth Vader's scene. And I was like, oh wow, nice. Cool.
That's a bummer.
But it's alright. So yeah, I did see it coming. Unfortunately.
Did you have any idea of, like, I guess that aside, like a few days ago, did you want to see Vader in this episode?
I wanted to see Anakin.
Okay.
Like I wanted to see Vader in like Anakin's like body, like pre-Mustafar.
Yeah, I think that would have been very, very interesting, but I would argue that we do see Anakin. We don't see Vader here.
Interesting.
Would you like me to make my case?
Please build your case.
So I think we've had a lot of conversations about like when does Anakin stop being Anakin and become Vader, right? And it's come down to maybe like when Padme died, when he choked out Padme, when he knelt to Palpatine, when he burned alive. Like there's a lot of avenues you could take, right?
Right.
I think this series and the role Ahsoka played to fleshing out the character of Anakin, I think, for me, I would say that Ahsoka is more pivotal to my appreciation and understanding of Anakin as a character than Padme is.
Yeah, for sure.
So, with the context of the show and that in mind, I think the moment Anakin died is when he walked up there, saw her lightsaber, was like, okay, she's probably dead, and then just took it and walked away. Because I think there's some imagery going on here. Like, obviously we get to see like a shade of his eye through the lens.
The bird that's flying above
Mm-hmm.
is like connected to Ahsoka some way.
Mm-hmm. I can see that for sure.
Well, from Rebels, like there's like a bird that's connected with her.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's the same bird, but I would assume probably.
Yeah. And then the fact that we hold on a shot of Anakin standing there holding a blue lightsaber. I think it's, and like then him closing it, tucking it away, and then showing his red saber on his hilt, and then just walking away with it, I think is like a moment of closure for Anakin Skywalker. Because Vader, the title of Darth Vader, I feel like it gives Anakin a lot of room to act on his emotion because he's a Sith now, you know?
Right.
And the last emotional tie he had, I think, was Ahsoka. And it's clear there's a time jump that happens here. So I felt like, you know what? Maybe he's been searching. Maybe he's like, I don't know what happened to her. I don't think he wanted to kill her.
Do you think he's feeling grief in that moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like the imagery, like the snow, the color tones of everything
implies that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so. It's a pretty beautiful ending to it all.
100%. I'm sorry you got spoiled.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's fine because it exists now. It's very beautiful and very sad, but very fitting. Mm-hmm. Exactly how I imagined it ending.
Yeah.
Not really, but it was very well done.
I agree totally.
So what do you think of all 4 of these episodes taken overall, Christian?
Overall, it's the best arc, right?
Yeah, by far.
Without
a doubt.
I feel weird because I've seen some people saying like, hey, should I just watch the finale of this show because I love Star Wars? Like, I feel like it's a disservice to the viewer at that point if you just go in, because it is like Ahsoka and Rex and Maul, and you get so much of them through the rest of the show that I feel like the weight of these moments doesn't hit if you don't have the context.
So you're thinking that it's not necessarily like essential, that if you're watching the Star Wars saga, you don't actually necessarily have to watch this.
No, I'm saying that the Clone Wars as a whole is essential, and then this is a great ending to it.
I think the Clone Wars is essential. Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you would feel like it's like representative enough of the show that you could show this to anybody who's just a Star Wars fan and enjoy it? Do you think?
I think if someone's like a Star Wars fan to the point where they enjoy like some of the lore of Star Wars, they would be interested in this. Mm-hmm. But like if someone hasn't watched and is interested in like the rest of the Clone Wars, like you said, I'm not sure if this would be a thing for them.
Yeah, I'm with you where like it feels like this is essential, and I do think it's kind of altogether the other prequel that.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It's just I feel like it's hard to like. It's not super it is accessible, but like, it's better. It makes more sense if you've watched the rest of Clone Wars.
Yeah, and I know that's a tall ask, and like we talked about last week, Jack pulled out 70 episodes that I feel like really conveys everything well. Along the way, you and I both dipped out of that order and checked out a couple other episodes, and I think it's a good show. It's one of the better Star Wars things, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm so happy that I took the time to watch it.
Me too.
Like, it's sad that I went so long without seeing it because it's really great.
Yeah, I'm bummed that I stopped. Like, I'm mad at my past self. I'm like, why'd you stop after Cad Bane?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What was the choice? It just got better from there. It's
and you don't even have to. You don't even have to watch the whole thing.
No, I don't. Yeah, because I feel like we both have a clear grasp on Ahsoka's character and her relationship with Anakin, and Anakin's fleshed out character, Obi-Wan's fleshed out character, the clones. I think this viewing that we went on is very representative of this series and its place, you know?
Right.
So if somebody's curious and they are down to watch, what was it, like 7, well, plus the season
67 episodes
of Clone Wars that are 27 or 20 to 25 minutes each, absolutely worth it. I think we can have a discussion now or at a different point in time, but I do think it's worth placing this in our rankings of the series at large.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I could do a preliminary ranking.
I want to give you time to stew on it. We can come back to it next week if you want, but I do think...
give me time to stew on it.
Yeah.
I can't be making those kind of the statements right now. I haven't had time to think about it.
No, I totally get it, because I do think the fact that like you're agreeing there is just, I think, so much respect to everybody who worked on the show, making it another pillar, you know? Like, I saw somebody also say, honestly, if they made Attack of the Clones episode 1 and then like an abridged story of Anakin training Ahsoka episode 2, and then episode 3 was just Revenge of the Sith with the Siege of Mandalore, then it would have just made the prequels the best trilogy in practice and like on paper.
That's really what they should have done.
Yeah, like, I'm glad they didn't, because then we wouldn't have this show the way it is, but I do think that is almost a definitive way to look at the story of Anakin Skywalker becoming Vader.
It's like you watch the prequels, right? And like there's a gap between 2 and 3, but like you don't really think about it ever. But that's like a 3-year gap, and so much stuff happens between then. And like they have a tall order at the beginning of 3 to like convince you that Anakin and Obi-Wan are like best of friends.
Yeah.
So in that regard, the Clone Wars is great because it really fills in that gap.
For sure. A couple questions for you at the end of it. Have you watched Revenge of the Sith yet?
Since?
Yes.
No. Have you?
No. Are you planning on it?
Maybe.
I'm so curious to see if anything I feel about Anakin changes, because obviously the show has made me like Anakin a lot more, but like just the context of it, like, we had a discussion about Anakin versus Obi-Wan, like if it hit the way it totally should have, maybe this makes it hit even harder.
I think we need to rewatch all 9 films, Christian. Or all 11 films.
I would hear an argument. And secondly, do you think you're gonna go straight to Rebels? Like, where do you feel the Ahsoka and Rex storyline leaves off? Because I know you've watched Rebels already. Like, do you feel like it's a natural build into that, or?
I mean, I would like to see what happens with Ahsoka immediately after this. Rebels is a little bit more. It's like, it's pretty far into the future.
Do you think then the Ahsoka Rosario Dawson series takes place in this gap?
I would hope so.
Do you think it would work
or
out that way?
Or after Rebels? I want to see them find Ezra.
So we won't spoil like Ahsoka's arc past Rebels, because I really don't know much about it other than like the one thing that she was like brought in to do in Rebels.
True.
But yeah, do you think, I guess, for the future of Ahsoka, are you excited at being introduced to her in Rebels, seeing where there's so much potential now?
I'm excited to see where Ahsoka goes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I'm all out of questions for you.
Well, I'm all out of answers.
Wonderful. Overall, like I said, next week we're probably going to have a more retrospective look back at this entire watch-along series and just final thoughts and a ranking within the Skywalker saga next week. I was gonna say we should rewatch The Rise of Skywalker. We will, yeah. We can watch Rise of Skywalker again this week for next week's episode. So look forward to a discussion about that, and then a ranking of the Clone Wars series, and maybe an updated ranking of Rise of Skywalker. I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see.
But the acclaimed series has ended.
Sad.
It's strange to say. I'm hopeful that we get the next animated series announced within this year. That would be fun. But what a legacy they have made here.
What a story, huh?
Yeah. Mike, if there's anything you'd like to shout out, feel free to do so.
You can follow me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
Very nice. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Chris N. Buckley. Again, I'll say just like we did last week on our Twitter at Jedi Knights JC. There's a full breakdown of the essential episodes of the Clone Wars. If you missed out, if you have Disney Plus, if you want to watch them all and then watch the series finale, highly recommended. It is on our Twitter. If you're listening to this show on podcast services like Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any other podcast service, and you can rate us or review us on that service, it would be greatly appreciated, because while this is the end of the Clone Wars, it is not the end of Jedi Knights.
Never the end of Jedi Knights. Begun, the Clone Wars have. The Empire has, yeah.
So now my role as moderator is now shifting to Supreme Chancellor to Emperor, because now, Mike, it's all about growth and expansion. Now we gotta just reach out into the corners of the galaxy, get the podcast shared around.
Exactly, the unknown regions. I feel you.
Absolute power.
Unlimited power.
But yeah, that's gonna do it. Hell of a run. Respect to Dave Filoni and George Lucas and everyone else.
Respect to the creator, George Lucas.
Yeah. And may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
General Kenobi.